The Nightingale is a historical fiction novel by Kristin Hannah, published in 2015, and soon to be motion picture. The novel tells the story of two sisters, Vianne and Isabelle, who live in France during World War II. Here is a detailed summary of the book. Part I, The Women of Carriveau. The novel opens in 1939, with Vianne Mauriac living in the small town of Carriveau with her husband Antoine and daughter Sophie. When Antoine is drafted into the French army, Vianne is left to fend for herself and her daughter. Meanwhile, Vianne's estranged younger sister Isabelle arrives in Carriveau seeking refuge from the war. The two sisters are very different. Vianne is cautious and practical, while Isabelle is rebellious and impulsive, but they are united in their desire to survive the war. As the German army advances through France, Vianne is forced to billet a German officer in her home. She also starts helping her Jewish neighbors hide from the Nazis. Isabelle, meanwhile, becomes involved in the French resistance, and helps to smuggle downed Allied airmen across the border to Spain. Part 2, The Prisoner. The novel jumps ahead to 1944, with Vianne and Isabelle both struggling to survive. Vianne is still living in Carriveau, but is now part of the resistance herself. Isabelle has been captured by the Germans and is being held prisoner. The two sisters have lost touch with each other, and neither knows if the other is still alive. Part 3, The Return. In the final section of the novel, the two sisters are reunited. Isabelle has escaped from prison and returned to Carriveau, where she is severely injured. Vianne takes her in and nurses her back to health. The two sisters finally reconcile and make peace with each other. The novel ends with the epilogue set in 1995, when an elderly woman is revealed to be an aged Vianne. She is visiting Paris with her granddaughter, and they stumble across a plaque commemorating the women of the resistance. Vianne's granddaughter is surprised to learn that her grandmother was a hero of the war, and Vianne reflects on the sacrifices and bravery of those who fought for freedom during World War II. Overall, The Nightingale is a powerful and emotional story of two sisters fighting to survive and resist the horrors of war. The novel explores themes of family, love, sacrifice, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The main characters Vianne and Isabelle are motivated by different factors that drive their actions and decisions throughout the novel. Vianne's motivations. Love for her family. Vianne's primary motivation is her love for her husband Antoine and their daughter Sophie. She is determined to protect them and keep them safe, even as the war threatens to tear their lives apart. Sense of duty. Vianne is also motivated by a sense of duty and responsibility, both to her family and to her community. She takes in Jewish children and hides them from the Nazis, despite the risk to her own safety. Fear. Vianne's actions are also motivated by fear. She is afraid of what will happen to her and her family if they are caught helping the resistance, but she is also afraid of what will happen if she does nothing. Isabelle's motivations. Desire for freedom. Isabelle's primary motivation is her desire for freedom and a sense of purpose. She is frustrated with the limitations placed on women in her society and wants to make a difference in the war effort. Rebellious nature. Isabelle's rebellious nature drives many of her actions. She is not afraid to take risks or break the rules, even when it puts her own life in danger. Sense of justice. Isabelle is motivated by a strong sense of justice and a desire to fight against the Nazis and their oppression of the French people. Throughout the novel, Vianne and Isabelle's motivations evolve and change as they are forced to confront the harsh realities of war. However, their underlying desire to survive and protect those they love remains a constant driving force behind their actions. The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah received overwhelmingly positive critical response upon its release in 2015. Here are some examples. The New York Times called it a novel that is both heart-wrenching and hopeful, capturing the indomitability of the human spirit amidst the most challenging of circumstances. USA Today said, Hannah masterfully details the lives of two women in wartime France. The characters' courage and determination are riveting. The Washington Post described it as an unforgettable portrait of love and war. Publishers Weekly gave it a starred review, saying, This moving and emotional novel will stay with readers long after they finish it. The Guardian praised it as a gripping and illuminating story of sisterhood, love, and courage. Overall, the book was widely praised for its powerful and emotional storytelling, vivid historical detail, and memorable characters. It was a bestseller and has been translated into over 40 languages.